Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup 2020 Week 14 Meta Preview. So, the meta or the hero pools have changed recently, or had a rule change anyway, which means that this week I believe they're actually only going to apply to the Overwatch League, and they're especially not going to apply from now on to Diamond and below on the competitive ladder, which is very interesting because that means there will be a change in the way in which they are selected. They are going to be based majorly on Overwatch League usage. And that has meant that this week we have swung in a very different direction in terms of the type of heroes we are banning. So, in week 13 we saw McCree, Widowmaker, Wrecking Ball and Mercy banned because it was based on a lot of competitive play usage, and Widowmaker and McCree see very high usage on competitive ladder. They will be back this week. All four of those heroes will be back this week. Now, in week 14, we saw quite a bit of Echo play, didn't we? And I was odds on to suspect that Echo would be banned, and she is not this week. But the heroes that are banned have seen quite a bit of usage this week in the Overwatch League. So, as ever, we will start off with our supports, and the support to be banned in week 14 will be Brigitte. So, Brigitte Lindholm has been actually quite a big part of a lot of team comps recently. She's very good at supporting her backline. She's also very good at supporting her tank line, as we know with Brigitte. And she's all round actually provides better protection than a Lucio for your back line. So some teams have been gravitating more to the Brigitte, some teams have been gravitating more to the Lucio. So Florida Mayhem, for example, often gravitate more to the Brigitte because Chris is better on the Brigitte. But then when we swing to teams like the San Francisco Shock, you will see more of the Lucio, with Moth on the Lucio rather than the Brigitte. But with the Philadelphia Fusion, let's say, you see sometimes both of it. We've seen Alarm on the Brigitte, we've seen Funny Astro on the Brigitte, I believe, Funny Astro on the Lucio a lot of the time. They've played a lot of different stuff, so it depends on the team you're at. But this week is going to hurt for someone like the Florida Mayhem. But again, with the Florida Mayhem this week, they're coming up against the Vancouver Titans, and at the time of recording, all I know is the Vancouver Titans don't have any players. So, yeah, they're playing ghosts at the moment. They will probably be playing an NA contenders team, so the Florida Mayhem should be okay, I would have thought. But then again, who knows? It depends on who Vancouver pick up, and I don't know that right now. So, anyway, Brigitte being banned is going to affect some teams more than others. But a lot of teams should be able to just straight up adapt to having a Lucio instead of a Brigitte, because that's what I would expect them to do. I think one team that it does benefit a lot is London. Obviously, we see London Spitfire return this week, and I think that means that London can heavily run Sanguinar on the Lucio, and Sanguinar is a Lucio player. Like, he is very good on that Lucio. So I think that is a big advantage for London, not being forced into a Brigitte. I don't exactly remember who was playing Brigitte for London, if we were playing Brigitte back then, which I don't think we were, in week 5 or week 4, so yeah, a lot has changed since then, so I think this is an advantage for someone like London. I also think it's an example for someone like Chengdu, an advantage for someone like Chengdu, but a lot of teams I would expect just to adapt to this, to be quite honest, especially teams like Philly, and I don't expect it to affect the San Francisco Shock all that much, and that's kind of the way it is. But this next one will have an impact, and this is the tank. This week, it's going to be Reinhardt. We have seen a lot of Reinhardt recently, haven't we? If it's not Reinhardt, it's Winston D.Va. If it's not Winston D.Va, it's Orisa Sigma. That's kind of the way it is. We actually have quite a varied tank line at the moment, but most of the time, teams like to run the Reinhardt D.Va. Apart from, actually, well, last week, I think we probably saw majority Winston D.Va because we saw a lot of Echo. And we saw less McCree. So this could have actually a big impact, because we might see less May and we might see less McCree because of this. It'll be interesting to see. Some teams will gravitate more towards Bunker, more towards the Orisa Sigma. Some teams will gravitate more to Echo, to Winston, to D.Va and Dive. So, for example, Houston Outlaws against the Atlanta Reign, I would expect Houston Outlaws to go Dive. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston Outlaws ran something like Echo Sombra. They might avoid McCree Widowmaker altogether. We know that the Houston Outlaws have not exactly been comfortable on the McCree this year. So that's something we could see the Houston Outlaws do. And that could be a surprising thing for Atlanta Reign to go up against. I would expect Atlanta Reign, on the other hand, to perhaps gravitate more to the Orisa Sigma. So it'll be interesting to see what some teams do. I think it'll be interesting to see what London do, because, again, we are expecting JMac, but London have a new main tank that is now available called Jihan. So, again, we might see something a little bit different from that new Spitfire side. But Reinhardt is basically pretty much a lot of what we've seen JMac play this season, and JMac has not been up to scratch on that Reinhardt. Whereas we've seen JMac on the likes of Winston, and it hasn't been too bad. Although I don't remember seeing much of his Orisa. So if London gravitate more to an Orisa comp, we might just see Jihan over JMac, which will be very, very interesting for Spitfire fans. Some other teams, Chengdu, have been, flexing a lot more recently, so they may run Winston D.Va, or they may run the Orisa Sigma. Actually, I think they've actually been running Orisa Sigma a lot more recently, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them run that, which I'm not sure is the most strongest of looks from the Chengdu Hunters. Shanghai Dragons, again, could go either way, but a lot of teams, they have the flexibility to play dive or they play bunker, and a lot of it actually might depend on the map as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens this week. So moving on to the DPS, which may have a hand in this as well, and we will see Reaper banned for the first time in a while, and we will see Ashe banned for the first time ever. Now, Ashe is seeing a big uptake in playtime. I think it's because of a lot of little buffs that Ashe has been getting, because she's always been a very, very janky hero to play. But Blizzard seem to be working that out now. They're reducing the time in which it takes her to scope and things like that, and she's becoming more viable. She does do a lot of damage with that dynamite. She builds a bob really quickly. And we've seen some teams straight up play Ashe over Widowmaker and McCree. I remember when San Francisco Shock played the Atlanta Reign in week 12, I believe it was. And McCree and Widowmaker were available, but here come Baby Bay and Carpe on the Ashe. Some people are now favouring the Ashe over a lot of other picks. So Ashe will be a miss for some teams, but with McCree and Widowmaker back in the pool, it's not going to be too hard to adjust back to playing those guys. And to be quite honest, Philadelphia Fusion taking on Dallas this week. Dallas have to go into Carpe, who is going to be unleashed on the McCree and Widowmaker. Yeah, we didn't see Carpe last week. I'm sure we'll probably be seeing him this week. But Dallas could match them with Decay. Obviously, Decay is fantastic. And it'll be interesting to see what they do. Maybe this week we see ANS back for the San Francisco Shock. We didn't see ANS against Houston, I don't believe, in week 13. That is probably because we were lacking hit scan, or long range hit scan anyway. So ANS may be back in for the San Francisco Shock this week to play that McCree and Widowmaker. Florida Mayhem may come off slightly rough with this. I mean, they like to play the Reaper with BQB. They like to play the Brig with Chris. They like to play Reinhardt quite a bit. So, yeah, it's a rough week in terms of hero pool for the Florida Mayhem, but the advantage for the Florida Mayhem is they are taking on Vancouver Titans. So it's a week where they may be able to squeeze through, is what I'm saying. It depends heavily on, I think, on what team the Vancouver Titans pick up from Tier 2. Again, I don't know that of time of recording as well. Again, there are some teams that may come off a little bit worse with the Ashe ban. Valiant, for example, they've been pulling the Ashe out to catch teams off guard, but the upside for the Valiant this week is that they're playing Boston. So, to be quite honest, if Valiant, if you want to run Symmetra Torbjorn, you'd probably run over Boston anyway. So, do what you want. You can run 6 supports and still beat Boston. So, yeah, especially with the damage that Batiste does these days. Anyway, let's not get into that. Soul. Now, the problem is with Soul, they are on a torrid time of things, and this hero pool, in my opinion, really doesn't help them. Because with Brig banned, with Reaper banned, with Reinhardt banned, they can't play that slow May Reaper comp that they have been playing. And that is the only thing that they looked strong on last week. On the minuscule amount of time they could play it on the indoor maps in Busan and Lijiang, the control center and Mecha base. That's the only time that the Soul Dynasty looked strong. So that means that the Soul Dynasty will be forced onto something perhaps out of their comfort zone. And that's not particularly great. The only upside for them is the Orisa Sigma comp. I think they actually ran in their first week of play this season, and they ran Marvel and Gesture. That could work, but then again, they will still be missing that Reaper, which could be an issue. So it'll be interesting to see what Seoul run in terms of DPS. They may go with the Fitz McCree and the May from Profit. In that case, things may look up for them, but it will be interesting to see what Seoul come out with. But they are up against the Shanghai Dragons, so they've got to be picture perfect if they want to be, you know, decent. And it will be very interesting to see if some teams force the Echo, because obviously Echo is still available to play, but we haven't had a week where Echo can go into a McCree and a Widowmaker. And it'll be interesting to see if teams are going to avoid Echo because there is a McCree or a Widowmaker. But the only thing is with the Echo, compared to a Genji, especially, or a Tracer sometimes, is that Echo's dive is incredibly oppressive. Incredibly oppressive. She can really, really delete you very, very fast. So I don't know whether some of the players will have the ability to counter that Echo with a McCree or a Widowmaker if they get dived by it. I think there's more chance of a McCree being able to get out of that than a Widowmaker, and I think that doesn't work in Widowmaker's favour whatsoever. I think she might be a little bit too vulnerable to an Echo dive for her to be played a lot. But another thing will be interesting is if we do see a lot of Echo, do we see a lot of Mercy? Because we didn't see Mercy last week, even though we saw Echo. Will teams go out to pair Echo and Mercy together like you would see a Pharmacy combo? Or will they just say, well, Echo's powerful enough on her own, we'd rather have the other support on something else so they can be more helpful to our front line? That'll be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting, but there's a lot of variables in play this week. And it'll be interesting to see what a lot of teams play. Whether they really gravitate back towards the Bunker, towards the May, towards the McCree that we've seen before, or whether Echo will stick and teams will struggle to counter her, and then we'll see Mercy make Echo even more strong. It could be very, very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting week of play. And if it's anything like last week, it's going to be very chaotic. And we're going to see two teams we haven't seen in a very long time. We're going to see London again, and we're going to see a brand new look Titans. And goodness knows what they'll come out with. So, it's going to be very interesting, but I'm going to leave it here for this one. Thank you guys so much for this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.